Okay, guys, welcome to this week's Next Generation Leadership Call. I have the pleasure of being your host. My name is Morten. I will give you a short brief about, or some more details about who I am. But first of all, let me know where you are calling in from, because I know we are from different places, all the way through Scandinavia, many countries in Europe. Know that some are calling in from Asia as well, and even then America. So please let me know. So it's 7 p.m. Central Europe time now, so that should be 1 a.m. in the morning Asian time. And wherever you may be in North America, it's around noon time. So it's good to have you with us. So just so you know, the call will be recorded, so you can share this with your entire team. So I will make sure it will be uploaded to some of the biggest Facebook groups that we have. So if you don't have access to some of these groups, make sure that you are getting in touch with some of your upline, some from your upline team, so they can guide you to be represented at some of the biggest groups there. So back to me. My name is Morten. I just turned 34. I'm a triple diamond with ASEA, and I have been with ASEA for 5 years. It has been one big roller coaster. What I mean with that is that I have experienced amazing things, guys, amazing things. But I have also experienced some challenges on my way. And I will let you know, no matter what, if you have a dream of becoming a diamond or more, I assume all of you have a goal to do so. Then we have to face and have to understand that you will be meeting challenges on your way. That's a part of the journey. That's a part of earning what you want to earn. Thank you to all of you that have written down where you are calling in from. I would also like to know the number one reason with one word. The number one reason with one word why you are involved with ASEA. What do you want to get out of it with one word, okay? And you have to promise me to help me with doing this, because right now we are building up the energy, okay? Building up the energy. So let me know the number one reason for why you are engaged with ASEA. My number one reason, I shared that last month, that's freedom. I want to choose, okay, when I want to do things. So that's, and I figured out that ASEA could be a very nice vehicle to create that for me and my entire family. So that's my reason. So let us know. Oh, I love that. Freedom, travel. A lot of freedom. Time. It's probably the same, you know, as freedom and so on. That's great. That's great. I actually think when it comes to the younger generation today, I believe the number one thing is the flexibility / freedom. You know, for all, I will say the younger crowd, the younger audience, flexibility is everything. So therefore we have some great, you know, a great vehicle that can help people generate that. So today we have a guest speaker with us, but before we will jump, before I will do and introduce him, I would like to give you some insights about where ASEA are based for now. You know, in 2017, at that point they were around 7-8 years old as a company. 2017, they just entered into the top 100 direct selling association ranking. So you can all go into the link. I will just tap it in here. Direct selling. Oh, actually it's direct selling news. And here you can see all the information that I will be sharing with you. It's quite interesting, actually, But you can be looking into that site and you can see that ASEA entered into top 100 in 2017. In 2018, they were ranked 77 with a revenue of 120 million US dollars. And in 2019, they did 170 million US dollars and were ranked 44. Guys, that spells one thing. It spells outstanding opportunity. You know, we are a part of a movement that are seriously taking off. And it's just a matter of time, and then we will hit the hypergrowth. Actually, some people are already saying that we are entering into the hypergrowth. I still believe it will take 1, maybe 2 years more, and then we will, you know, just skyrocket. We are moving very fast, guys, and we should be very grateful for being in a position where we have the opportunity to decide if we want to do this. Because it all comes down to a decision. It comes down to a decision. Let me ask you this question. What is a boat or a ship designed to do? What is a boat or a ship designed to do? Is it designed to stay in the harbor? Or is it designed to be dancing on the water? You know, if the boat and ship were designed to, you know, to just stay at the harbor, what's the purpose for that ship and boat? You know, I believe that you can actually do quite a lot of comparisons. You know, as a human being, I believe it's about, you know, following your passion and do some action. So if we were a boat, if we were a ship, you should do your best to stay at the water, dance at the water, face some challenges. Because if you are willing to face some challenges on your way, you are automatically increasing the capacity of yours. You are increasing your skill level. Automatically, you will start attracting success into your life. And that is not only regarding your ASEA business, that's regarding a lot of different things in our lives. We just need to understand, in order for us to grow, we need to, you know, go to the sea sometimes, if we were a boat or a ship. Well, that were just some of the things I just wanted to start the call out with. And as I mentioned last time, you know, you should expect that the call are taking around 30 minutes, that's all. I want a short call with high vibes. Okay, not a long call, boring call. I want short call, high vibes, high energy, okay? So let me introduce the guest speaker for tonight. I met him at my very first international convention with ASEA. And if this gentleman smiles, you are starting smiling. I promise you guys. You know, this man has so much charisma, and I just love this guy. I have loved this guy from day one. He is likable. He is passionate. He are helping everybody he can. He doesn't care if it's cross line, up line, down line, sideline, or from another planet. He don't care, okay? He has the attitude it requires to take this to the next level. And I'm grateful for having him on the call. I'm grateful that he will be sharing some of his thoughts with you. So let me introduce you for the brother from another mother. Marco, are you there?
Hey, Morten, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for that introduction. I appreciate it.
Are you calling in from New York?
Yeah, I'm in New York right now.
So what's the time there? It's around 11? Oh, it's 1 p.m.
Yeah, 6-hour difference.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's good. That's good. Well, thank you so much for taking out the time, Marco. I really appreciate that.
For sure.
And why not start introducing you? Who are you actually?
All right. So thanks again, Morten. I appreciate the great introduction. To the people who don't know me, my name is Marco Ricchiuti. I'm based in New York. I am 25, turned 25 in January. I have been with the SIA, working with the SIA. Well, started taking a SIA when I was 18, and basically started to do the business about, I want to say, a couple years after, because there was like a 2-year period where I was figuring it all out kind of. So for me, it was pretty awesome to be able to, I guess, get started young. But that's when I got started with ASEA. From a professional standpoint, I do ASEA full time, but I also I actually went to school. I went to college for social media and business, and I actually got a dream job doing social media for a corporate company, but decided that at that point in time, I really couldn't see myself being at a desk for every single day. And at this point, when I had gotten that job, it was like in the middle of the summer. So I was like, I'm looking out the window. I'm like, this is no, I don't feel comfortable doing this. So
Again, Marco, that's again the flexibility, right? The
yeah,
freedom, right?
exactly. So yeah, I went to college for business marketing. I actually also got a double minored in digital media production and sports studies. So I got a very diverse education in the sense of university and college. After that, I actually went to go work for that company for just about 6 months, and then I said to myself, I can't do that. And then a couple of years ago, so from that point on, I started working with ASEA, as well as I had my own business, my other own business, doing website design, because I did graphic design. I knew how to kind of build websites and all that kind of stuff. So I've been working with those two predominantly as my businesses. So that's a little bit about, how I came about the, in ASEA. I mean, back then I really, I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by a lot of people in ASEA when it was first coming about. So
Let me know, Marco. Let me know a bit about who introduced you to ASEA and
yeah.
how were you thinking about that first approach?
Sure. So way back when I was 18, my father actually put me in the system, signed me up. I didn't even know. He just put me in, and he said he brought a Sia home at that time, and was like, "Hey, you know what? Start drinking this or whatever." And I was like, "All right, whatever. Like, I don't mind." But I wasn't really taking it consistently. This was when I was 18, and so at that time when I was first starting out, when my father introduced the product to me, I actually was in my final year of high school in the States, and I was in my last season of soccer for high school. And within 5 minutes of my first game in the season, I sprained my ankle, and it was a really bad high ankle sprain. And 5 minutes later, my friend sprained his ankle in the same exact game. So it was pretty interesting because my introduction to ASEA was a testimonial for the most part, because of the fact that I went to the doctor. We both went to the same doctor, me and my friend. And the doctor said to me that I'm going to probably be out for the season, about 4 to 6 weeks. So I wouldn't be able to go back. And my friend, on the other hand, it was about 2 weeks or so, and he would be fine. He had a small ankle sprain. It wasn't that bad. So at that time, that's when my father had introduced me to it. And he was like, you have nothing to lose. You might as well start taking it. And I was like, all right, you know what? He's like, oh, you might not like the taste. And I was like, let me try this. And so I tried it. I was like, it's fine. It just tastes like water. And he's like, oh, okay, good, fine, take it. So to make a long story short, after that whole process of taking ASEA, getting introduced to it from my father, and just, starting out, I went back to the doctor. Doctor said, this was 2.5 weeks after I went to him previously. He said, you healed up really fast. you're cleared, made this, did the signage and I gave it to my coach, and I went to go play again for the rest of the season. Brought everybody to playoffs and then went to sectionals, and so on. So it was pretty awesome to be able to do that. But the funniest part about it is because, my friend who had sprained his ankle 5 minutes after me, who was supposed to be healed by 2 weeks, actually didn't even end up going back to play because he wasn't cleared, because his ankle sprain didn't heal fast. So I was like, wow, this is pretty crazy. I've never seen anything like this. I guess I'm going to just keep taking this, So that was my introduction to ASEA as a product. And then the introduction into the business side of things of ASEA came when my father actually he had won some incentive trips with ASEA and had me come along. And I was able, at that time, this was when people who are now ambassador, presidential diamonds, who were just maybe diamonds, not even triple diamonds at that point. And I was able to rub shoulders with people, and it was a very intimate setting, in the sense that there was maybe only like 40 people on this incentive trip. So it was really cool because I was able to rub shoulders with people in the industry who have had experience and got to ask them a lot of questions.
You started to see the bigger picture, right? What is actually possible?
Exactly. So I was pretty psyched. I was excited. I was intrigued. I was like, wow, how come nobody ever told me about this when I was going to like high school, and nobody ever introduced these different methods of producing income, right?
It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question, Marco. If your father only have shared with you the product, if your father only have shared the product and the technology, would you think that you would have been around today doing ASEA?
I don't think so. I think it's interesting because, so my sister and I are 5 years apart in age, and my father, of course, put my sister in the business as well. But it's interesting. It really depends on how somebody perceives the information that they're receiving, because my look on the business was a completely different viewpoint than my sister's viewpoint, right? And I always try to give this as an example because everybody's different. And even with the same information, somebody can go in a completely different direction, right? So my sister, really, she's focusing on things in her life. This didn't, I guess, take off for her in the way it did for me, right? But I think it was also the fact that I was more engaged, I was more open, and I was able to see more of what was available to me, the access, the resources, whatever was there, right? So I was able to take advantage of those resources and leverage it for my business. So it is pretty interesting where I've started and where I've come from and how it all began, right?
Yeah. What I shared with the team, or with the, on this call last month, is that in order for the younger crowd to move on, it's super important that you not only share the product and technology, because a lot of the younger crowd would be tapping into the way of working and developing, right? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
So next question, Marco, network marketing. What do you see in that, and what potential do you see?
Well, so network marketing is pretty interesting. It's very interesting in the sense that you are really able to determine your destiny, in the sense that you make the choices. So if you want to be at this level, then you're going to make those choices to be at that level. If you want to be at this level, you'll make those choices. But if you want to be up here, you'll make those choices. You'll make that effort to get to where you got to get to, right? And it's interesting because it's a very unique situation, and not to, I don't want to blame a certain system, but the system itself, when it comes to education, doesn't really push for you to do the things you need to do in order to succeed. It pushes you to rely on somebody to succeed. And so for me, I've always been super entrepreneurial. My father has been an entrepreneur his whole life. He started his own business. He ran his own business very successfully for over 30 years. And so I was never the type to want to really work for somebody. I really wanted to have that flexibility. And if anybody knows me, they know I love to travel, and I'm always posting photos of traveling because it's something that I embrace, and I want to do, right? I want to be culturally educated, not just book smart, So for me, network marketing is a very intriguing industry, and I love it because I'm able to work with people who want to make a difference, want to actually earn, and at the same time, I think it's interesting because our generation, we tend to like to work in groups. Groups are a big thing, and maybe past generations are similar, but I think more focused in on the millennial generation. Groups are huge. So when it comes to this type of an industry, it seems like a no-brainer to build something like this, because people, if they can see that they have a support system in place to help make sure that they're going to succeed, or they have your back, it makes it so much easier. And I think, for example, in a corporate setting, right, in a traditional singular, you're not really working with groups unless it's specified. You're just thrown in, and you don't really get the help that you may need in the beginning, and you don't really have the consistency aspect. So it's really interesting. Network marketing is a super important industry, and I think it's really important to understand what you were saying, Morten. For the people who are on the call, we're growing like crazy in ASEA right now, and it may take a year, may take another year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is. But to go from where we were 2 years ago to number 33, I think it was, or 40, or I forgot.
44, yeah.
44. It's 44. To go from that to 44 in 2 years, that's huge, guys. It's huge. And so, for the people who are maybe the viewpoint of network marketing isn't like the best viewpoint for them at this exact moment, I would challenge you to really understand how somebody can leverage this type of an industry, especially during what's going on right now, right?
Yeah, that's actually my next question for you, because until now the network marketing industry profession has just boomed. What do you think will happen now? Because the world are changing. What do you think will happen? Because sometimes it's about being a visionary and see what direction do the profession that you're actually in, where does that go? So what's your thoughts about that?
So it's interesting. I was speaking to my group this past week, and I was saying how what is going on in the world, all the unfortunate things going on. The fortunate thing is that it's really exposing people to learning about other income streams, because people don't realize, this is what I've always said from the get-go, people don't realize what they don't have until they don't have it. And this is a situation right now where people are losing money because they didn't prepare themselves. And so it creates an opportunity. Now, the point is not to because of the situation, to put people in like a corner and say, well, this is why you did it, you should have started. That's not the point. The point is, realistically, is to explain to them, listen, an opportunity is here. You're going to be home for the next month. You're going to be home for the next X amount of days. What are you going to do with your time when you're home? Are you just going to be watching TV the entire time? Are you going to be working out? What are you going to be doing? Imagine if you can take about 10 hours, 20 hours during this week to build a business that only costs you $40 to get started with, right? And then obviously, if you want to get the product, which is going to help you from a health standpoint, why not, right? So I always, I look at this as an opportunistic point of view, especially because of the situation. And it's not about capitalizing on it, but more so that people now understand what they lost, and now they're trying to regain that information, regain the money that they lost, whatever it may be in X, Y, and Z, right? So that's kind of my take on the current situation, how we as networkers can accurately and decisively give information that's relevant to what's going on right now, right?
I love the way that you're approaching that. Actually, it's, it's just, we are just offering a service, an option, right? We're giving people the opportunity to create that second stream of income or whatever it is, because most people are trained in just having one income stream.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So all of us on this call, we need to have many more income streams, guys. That's just a smart way of thinking. You have been with us here for quite a while now, and as you said, the first couple of years you were probably just a user of the product. It's actually quite similar with me when I were approached into network marketing when I were 22 years old. My first couple of years were not serious. If you're not treating anything serious, you need to understand that will be the end result, right? But what I would like to ask you, how do you see your future? What are you planning to do? Right now you are a platinum executive. I know that you have a network in you have network in different places in the world, but one of your biggest groups is located in
Colombia.
Yeah, Colombia. Yeah. Let me share some of your thoughts about the future.
Sure, absolutely. So, it's interesting. 7 years ago, when I was introduced to ASEA, I never really would have thought that I would have been where I am right now. And yet, you guys have to understand, I had zero experience in network marketing. This is my first company. So going from zero experience, not knowing anything about the industry, not knowing how to do this business, right? To now 7 years later, understanding how to properly really engage with people, it happens over time once you become more customary to having discussions and properly educating people on your industry and the business of it. But it's interesting because when I started really dedicating to build this as a business, I never would have thought I had a business in, now I think it's like 18 different countries, 19 different countries. But it's crazy because I feel so fortunate to have made so many great connections. So from a future standpoint, I think some of the goals that I want to achieve, I've worked so heavily internationally that I really didn't get a huge chance to work locally. So I think locally is where I want to try to start working at the moment. Although there is so much opportunity everywhere. So how could you say no, And I think another big part of the future goals that I have for myself have to do with being able to travel to other parts of the world and help share the technology from a meeting standpoint, like actually physically being there, right? Being in, for example, in Malaysia, or being in the Philippines, or being in any part of Europe, in France.
Denmark.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome. I mean, I think from my perspective, I'm an avid traveler. I love to travel. So this quarantine is killing me right now. But, there's so much opportunity to build what you have to build right now, and then be able to make those trips in the future. So I think some of the future goals have to do with building locally, but also expanding and being able to not just build locally, but from that local group, build internationally, right? I think it's a good goal.
I think when you are saying locally, it counts as Denmark. the entire, you know, actually, quite an interesting thing is that, you know, my business has also expanded into many, many countries, but most of my business have been created in Denmark.
Yeah.
Out of Denmark, it has then spread, and you know, then it has become a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And so I really like that. Why not just start locally? You know, when Marco are saying locally, you know, you could say, like, you know, work in Sweden, work in Norway, work in Denmark, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, for example, New York, right? New York is heavily diverse. We have so many different, it's the melting pot of the world. So we have so many different countries existing in one area, right? So that could be absolutely true. It could be, let's say the Philippines, it could be Denmark, it could be Italy, it could be wherever, you know? And it is definitely doable. You have to build local, and then that local will build international over time.
Yeah, especially if you're sharing your vision, because if you're not daring to share big enough, you will probably not attract the people that can bring you out of the border. That's also what some of the topics that I shared with all of you last month. You need to dare to share a bigger vision, right?
Absolutely.
Because you want to have a global business. So we are close to end up the call here, Marco. So I just have a final question for you.
Sure.
If you should give the audience, all the listeners, a couple of advices when it comes to building a business.
Yeah. So there's just, it's so crazy because you learn so much as you build the business, and like you realize things that you should and you shouldn't have done. um, i think I think, for example, taking in my story or my journey with this business, right? So I realistically, my business took off when I started a very simple conversation, and probably some of you have seen this on the See a Wealthy Self page. But that simple conversation led to Colombia, which was, for me, it went from me being somebody who was a, I would say, not having the biggest group to having a pretty large group from that standpoint. So asking simple questions, that would be number one. Simple questions to people. I mean, realistically, me asking somebody locally, important wise, somebody locally, who, where are you from? And them saying, oh, I'm from Colombia. And then them saying, oh, interesting. Are you guys open in Colombia? I said, well, the company's looking to expand there. And he's like, interesting. My brother just called me last week asking if I knew of any network marketing companies that want to open up down there. That's the type of situations that sometimes occur, guys. And so asking simple questions that, like, where are you from, can lead to big things. So me going from maybe a team of, like, I don't know, 80 to a team of now thousands, just stemmed from a simple question. And from that point on, I mean, there's further conversation, but that's one piece of advice I always like to give people, because when you keep something simple, it really can be super effective and direct. And so that would be one piece of advice I would give. And then another one maybe would be, when you're building this business, you want to, you kind of want to focus on, especially as millennials, and he had touched on this in the beginning, you want to focus on people who want to build a business, who want to encompass all those things that you guys listed in the chat: time freedom, travel, whatever, flexibility, right? You want to be able to work with people that embody those characteristics. So how are you going to find those types of people? I mean, it's not easy, but at the same time, there's people who are our age, who are out there, who are looking for an opportunity right now, who are home, college students who are home because they can't go to college. They're looking for some way to make an income. For example, in the US, they they don't receive a stimulus check that they had done in the US, right? The college students are basically, excuse my language, but screwed. So they're in debt and they also don't get a stimulus check. So this is what I'm trying to explain very simply, that people are in situations right now and they're looking for opportunities. And our goal realistically is to find people who are open to encompassing those characteristics that you guys listed. How do you do that? Well, quite simply, you can go on social media, leverage social media. I mean, I'm sure you hear this all the time about using social media and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, I guess the next question is, how do you do that, right? How do you leverage? Just keep it simple, guys. Keep it simple. You know, leverage LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a business networking, a social network, right? If you're looking for business people, don't you think it would be a good idea to go to the social media that's, I don't know, business oriented, right? So you can always look into these types of things. And there's so much information out there that sometimes we just get all bombarded. You just got to focus on one thing. Go one thing at a time, right? Go to LinkedIn, go to Facebook. You know, there's so many groups. I would challenge everybody to join some groups this week. Join some groups, make some connections, because I'll tell you this, I have not stopped sponsoring. And for example, a couple people I think are from my group are on the call right now. They can see I don't stop sponsoring. I don't. And you have to keep sponsoring. That's another thing. You have to keep sponsoring, because you never know what one person is going to do for your business, and which might motivate the people above them to do in the down the line. So keep that in mind. Sponsor, make connections, use proper social media to help build a business, and then also focus on, you know, building locally and then going globally. That's what I would say.
That's awesome, Marco. I really appreciate all this great information. I'm quite sure all the listeners really appreciate it as well. So Marco, thank you very much for now. Thank you directly from New York, ladies and gentlemen. And I need to practice on your second name, your surname.
Ricchiuti. So it's two words. Rick. So the name Rick.
Yeah.
And Cutie. Ricchiuti.
So you are cute. Ricchiuti. I love that. I love that. Guys, thank you so much for being on. If you have team members that hasn't been on tonight or today, please make sure that they will be looking into the recording. I'm quite sure they will get valuable information out of listening into this call. So guys, let's go out there, rock and roll. And again, as Marco just ended up saying here, you know, focus on one thing. You know, we have a tendency to you know, we want to master everything. You know, that's, you know, if you just have a laser focus on one specific thing, and I will especially say, focus on reaching out, focus on starting conversations, focus on sharing that you are real. You are not a robot. You are real. And you are seeking for people that are like-minded. You are seeking for entrepreneurs. You are seeking people with a passion for health. You are seeking people that want to design a life without no limits. So with that said, thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Marco, once again, highly appreciate you. Keep on smiling. Then we all smile. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.